Pugh. That'll do it! That will do it! Pugh for Bournemouth! The roof of the Gold Sands is raised! Everyone here knows what that could mean to this football.
Well, hello, Cherries fans, and welcome to the pre-match free-for-all as tomorrow AFC Bournemouth travel up to the Cardiff City Stadium in the hope of picking up another 3 points. Bournemouth currently sit third in the division, and we play Mick McCarthy's men, who are currently in ninth spot. And their start to the season pretty much mirrored how the second half of their season went when Mick McCarthy took over. That was in January early this year. 1,373 Cherries fans will be travelling up. And if you're one of them, credit to you. I'm one of them too. And I can't wait to hop across the border, hop across the Severn, and fingers crossed it can be a Cherries win. Cardiff have got a lot of injury problems at the moment, but I tell you what, they pose a threat. All of them are bloody massive. Land of the Giants, that's what they're being called. And you know what? It's going to be a struggle, especially with set pieces. But what are your thoughts on tomorrow? Whether you're in chat or you want to come on screen, you can do so. At the top of the screen, on that side, is a link. If you type it in on your phone, your laptop or your tablet, you can then come on the show and there's room for you. Right now, it's afcbpodcast.com/take part. We've got Rob and we've got Morgan already waiting, which is great. Just going to see who's here so far. We got Liam here. We got Chris Hubble. Hello, guys. We got Sammy as well. Who else we got? John Spark. Evening, John. Want to hear your thoughts about this one, by the way. Also, we've got 7 Squared as well and a few others as well. 747 SP as well. What are your thoughts about the game? We want to know what you thought about Queen's Park Rangers as well, because we're going to do a mini second look because, yes, we've done the post-match fan cams, which were a right old laugh to do, I've got to say. But also we did the match day vlog, but we really didn't get a chance to sum it up properly. So to do so, we're going to speak to Morgan Scott, who's here with us. Morgan, you all right, buddy? Can't hear you, mate. Cannot hear you. That's a good sight. So you might have to have a little play around, mate. In the meantime, I'll bring you back in a second. Hopefully I can hear Rob Lee, though. Rob, you all right?
Hello, mate. How you doing?
Very good, mate. Very good. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad.
Good, good. What have you made of our start to the season so far, mate? It's been all right, isn't it?
I've been surprised, pleasantly surprised when you look at how kind of low the squad depth was at the beginning. Really good. And obviously, we look at the bench we put out on Tuesday. It was nuts. Yeah, I think we've done really well.
We're going to try to bring in Morgan again, see if his audio is working okay. Fingers crossed it is, Morgan.
Hello.
It is working. Brilliant. And it was, you know what, Morgan, it's very nice to see you briefly in passing. I know you couldn't come on the show after the game, but it was one that was enjoyable in large parts. But then, God, nerves at the end, eh?
Oh, absolutely. But I had the experience of sat by the away fan, so it was quite entertaining, to be honest with you.
What kind of chance were you swinging their way, mate?
Oh, I just quite like that. I don't know if you heard it from where you were sat, but I think we were sitting in sunny Bournemouth for about half an hour, which was and that got us over the line. So yeah, it was just quite funny to see. And I prefer my normal seat. I got a lot of the floodlights right while I was sat in row C by the away fan. Not very good for the eyes at that time of night, but nah, it's all good. It was good to get the 3 points, and I think it was in all a very good performance because we were hanging on and we managed to get over the line, which you need to do in the Championship. You got to win ugly sometimes, and I think we did that just about.
Yeah, agreed. Rob, did I see on Twitter that you're going tomorrow?
Yeah, man. First game in about 20 months.
Amazing. You must be absolutely buzzing for it.
Yeah, it's like Christmas Eve.
Yeah. Oh, mate. So, I mean, what are you expecting tomorrow? It's going to be a tricky one, I think.
Yeah, as long as we don't give away stupid free kicks, stupid corners. I think that's the main say. I think if I remember right, at the home game last season, they bullied us something rotten. So yeah, I think as long as we're kind of avoiding silly dead balls, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, agreed. We got Aaron K, who's here with us as well. Aaron, how you doing, buddy? You all right?
Yeah, I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Nice to see you. So I didn't manage to catch you off the free fall because you had to nip straight off. But tell me your thoughts about that QPR game, mate, because I feel as though there were some elements that were similar to Barnsley in that for the first part of the game, we didn't do too well and it was all the opposition. But then all we needed was one chance. We took it and then we dominated. But it was one of these matches where we should have probably made our dominance pay, and we didn't. So when they came back into it, we were, it was pooing ourselves at the end.
Well, my heart's still in my mouth now, to be honest with you. It's taken a lot of time to get it out. It was always going to be a tough game. I think QPR, for me, will comfortably be top 6 this season. It was a real test for us, which made the 3 points even better. But yeah, I mean, we took some time to get going. We scored, obviously, against the run of play. And then, as you said, I think, we played some great football, some really, really good stuff. And we should have put the game to bed, when Phil Billing hit the post. What a great move that was. And they were rocking for like a 5-10 minute period where we were just, it was like scrambling around the area and we just couldn't get that third goal. And we kind of then knew what was going to happen. They scored. They're the comeback kings. I've got a good friend who supports QPR who said, if we're 2 goals behind, don't feel comfortable. And we weren't comfortable after that. But it was great to be able to bring the likes of Pearson on, Mepham. We were obviously sitting a bit deep, but we showed a different side to our game. And credit to Mark Travers at the end. It was fantastic. But I think it was just getting over the line, really. And it was just a brilliant 3 points.
And Morgan, it showed a different part to our game that we've probably not seen yet. At Barnsley, we weren't really sort of called into action. They didn't grab that goal back, which posed a threat. Thankfully, in that one, we did make it 3-0. But with this, we did have to show something else. And as Kirk said on the free-for-all, it is natural when it's a certain scoreline like 2-1. When the opposition have the ball, you do sort of tend to sit back and try to soak it up and get men behind the ball. But it showed a different side of our game. And there were a number of defenders who stood tall. But as Aaron said, Mark Travers, I mean, wow. Could you say he single-handedly won us the game? Maybe. Some of his saves were excellent. And you in the South Stand would have had a great view of it.
Yeah, no, I think what was really good to hear that obviously I think he tipped one over the bar and he got down low quite a few times and parried it away, and it was just good to see Travis have a obviously he didn't get the clean sheet, which I'm sure he would have been gutted about as a goalkeeper. But he was probably in contention to be man of the match with the saves that he made, because I thought he was excellent, and we've been wondering if a low move is the right situation for Trav, but to be honest with you, at the moment, I think he earned his number 1 jersey, and unless he puts a foot on tomorrow or in the foreseeable future, I think he's definitely got that ahead of Nyland and Will Dennis at the moment as things stand. So yeah, 100%, but really nice to see Trav making some saves, and we know what a good shot dropper he is, as we mentioned before. So yeah, really good.
And Rob, Jane Anthony did well. I think that he's had an excellent season so far, but, people have been comparing him to Dan Juma and stuff. The difference is the goals. Of course, he scored at Birmingham, and there are some games recently where he's done well up until being in the box and he didn't really have the finish. But I tell you what a decent finish it was. He robbed the defender. We had the high press, and then it was an accomplished finish. And on that left side, you've got to say, we're looking strong. It was the youth all along. That's all we ever needed.
Yeah, to be fair though, it was a Dan Juma-like finish on Tuesday. Yeah. Very, and you can see he's tried it a few times this season. It's not come off as effectively. So I think that's one he's got in his locker. You go back to the Betway Cup, he did something similar. So he's definitely got that in his locker. But yeah, I'm currently a little bit concerned at Zamura's trajectory, to be perfectly honest. If he carries on, how long does he realistically stay here for before bigger teams start swooping?
Yeah, that's quite a worrying thought. I mean, a number of people have suggested that Leicester are keeping tabs on him because they were looking at a number of under-21 games that he was taking part in when he was performing very well for them. Whether that's true or not, we don't know. It could just be a little bit of conjecture. And, Aaron, there were a number of standout performances in that game. We've talked about Travers already. Who else shone for you?
I think Gary Cahill again, apart from that error at the end, which almost resulted in disaster. Other than that, I think in the 2 games I've seen him play, what evident is just his organisation, his shouting at everybody, telling people when to go, when to come, and it's just obviously, as well as being very tall and heading a lot out, which is what we've needed for a long time. Those who doubted him, I think he's so far he's shown what he can bring to the party. He's just he's just an exceptional defender, so experienced. He was great. Jeff, it's just incredible. I'm still pinching myself. We've still got him. In all honesty, for me, he's too good for the Championship. I expected him to go in the window for a number of reasons, wages, etc. But to have him back after those 6 games and just with us, looks like he's in with us for the season at least. It's just incredible what a player he is. I was actually really impressed with Ryan Christie as well. I have to say, it's obviously the first I've obviously really seen him. He really reminds me of Matt Ritchie to some degree, because he's not an out-and-out winger. Obviously, he's got the pace, but unlike David Brooks, he's got a real kind of engine and a tenacity to him, where obviously he can play central as well. And I think that was telling that obviously David Brooks has been instrumental in a number of games this season and was brilliant for our second goal again. And he's the playmaker in the team. He's the one who can make things happen. But it was telling that he went off and Christie stayed on and went to the right, because I think from a defensive point of view, that energy and that never say die attitude that Christie clearly has, as well as his creativity. But I think it was just he was just flying into tackles, and that real kind of hard Scotsman Matt Ritchie ability. So he really impressed me as well. But as has already been said, Anthony and Zamora on the left is just blowing me away. I mean, after the whole game, might be harsh, but I was a bit critical of Jayden Anthony, thinking as good as he's been, has he run out a bit of steam? Does he need taking out the firing line? But he came back against Barnsley and QPR and was just exceptionally good. And Zamora, as we've said, is just incredible. I mean, I just can't express how credible he is. I mean, defensively he's held his own, but going forward he's just unstoppable. And it's just his footwork, his quickness of feet, and his confidence. He is going to be some player. He really is.
The footwork, I think, was especially really good. We've seen flashes of it on the angle footage where he's in his own half, and then he's just shifting onto one foot and then pulling away. And honestly, really, really good talent, and the confidence is just exuding from him. Let's talk about Smith, Morgan, because some people are saying that I didn't have a great game, but do you think that him being in that position sort of takes the shackles off Brooks a little bit, because Brooks has just got that confidence that there's an experienced player behind him?
I really like. I know people have said Adam Smith or Jack Stacey. Now, at the beginning of the season, I was saying Stacey. I know Stacey got injured. I know he's back available now, but I think Adam Smith's been excellent. Since he came, I think they said he was injured and ill, and then I'm not sure if that was COVID related. I don't think the club did mention it, but since he's come back, he's played 2 lots of 90 minutes in the space of 4 days, and I think he's been first class. I think Brooks and him have got a good link up, like Brooks and Stacey. I think sometimes Smith just plays it, and Brooks knows where that ball's coming to him. So I think it's a really good partnership, like with Jay-Z and Jayden Anthony on the left. I think it's another great partnership on the right, and the partnership seemed to be an element of the team's performance this season. I think everyone's a lot happier. You can see that people want to play for the team. And since Parker's come in, and I remember there was an interview that he did, and he said it's going to be tough work from now on. And he never, a bit like Jonathan Woodgate, he never ended when people say, you got this amount of points. He's like, no, a game at a time. We know it's a long season. I think that's a really good approach to it, not getting too carried away and thinking, we're going to go and win the league, because it is a long season, as we know. And I think it's just excellent to see so many happy faces around the stadium again, because the players seem a lot happier than they were last season.
Absolutely. Rob, what's your prediction for tomorrow? Because look, Cardiff, they're going to pose a threat. I think 8 of their players are over 6 foot. From set pieces, we might struggle. And for a team that consistently gives away needless free kicks, especially in our sort of first third, that's quite a worry.
Oh, massively. I'm actually really confident about tomorrow, but that's possibly naive optimism for just general excitement for going to the game. I actually think it's going to be 3-1. For some reason I keep seeing a Jay-Z Thunderbastard goal. So
we all want one of them. Well, mate, hopefully I'll be able to see you tomorrow. I think
I'll look out for you, man.
Yeah, cool, man. It'd be nice to catch up in person, and safe travels and all that. And see you tomorrow, mate.
See you tomorrow, man. Have a good one.
You too, buddy. You too. Safe travels to all Cherries that are going. Morgan, we'll do an away day soon, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
You were talking to me about Stoke last night over Messenger, and I was just thinking, Tuesday night, horrible. Plus, it's live on Sky. That's such a maybe.
Yeah.
By the way, go on.
Yeah, no, I done Stoke before, and it's so bitterly cold. But I actually met. It was my first ever Bournemouth away day, actually, and I went for a little. We were there at just after 1, and it was so cold. I needed to go for a little walk to warm myself up after a long journey, and I actually bumped into Jeff Moslin. And then we just stood and had a chat for like 10 minutes. It was like incredible, like the first away day, and you meet the chairman. So yeah, no, it was good. But Tuesday night a cold away day, but I think it'd be worth it, don't you?
Yeah, well, maybe we will sort one anyway. What's your prediction for tomorrow, buddy?
I don't want to sound negative because I'm really impressed with what I've seen from Bournemouth in the last couple of games. The thing that concerns me,
there's a but, isn't there?
There is a but. I watched the game. I think it was Cardiff and Forest on Sunday.
Yeah.
And it was so comfortable. And then Cardiff, the youngster came off the bench and scored 2 in the space of 15, 20 minutes. And Kiefer Moore, when he came on, and I don't know how fit he's going to be, maybe he'll come off the bench, but he's an impact sub. And if he starts tomorrow, that's a concern in itself. But if he comes off the bench, he won a couple of flick on, and that's set the opportunity up. So I'm going to go for 2-1 to Bournemouth. I think we might just have enough of them in the final third. But I wouldn't be surprised if Cardiff make it hard and we got to win ugly like we did on Tuesday night, because it could get a bit scrappy in the final third. But hopefully you'll have a safe journey and we'll come back with 3 points.
That's what I like to see. Cheers, Morgan. Thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate it, buddy. And thank you to Steve Hensman for the super chat. UPTCID. It's just UTCIAD. You don't have to put the P in there. But I've seen a number of people do that on Twitter. I think it's just maybe they're typing it too quickly. But you up the cherries in all departments. Thanks, Steve Hensman. Really appreciate you coming on. Right. Let's fill this room up then. Here's a face that I saw just at the weekend. Simon K. How are you, buddy? All right?
All right, boyo.
All right, boy. Yucky da. How much Welsh can you speak?
That's it.
I can say a few things. I can say Poblicum, which is people of the valley, Nuedien, which is news, and kind of gag, which is shut up. So that'll probably get me by in Wales, right?
No, you need to. What's the 2 beers and a packet of crisps or something?
Yeah. Is it brains bitter over there? I don't know what it is.
Anyway, the good news is, Sam, I've got a ticket and I'm coming.
Oh, superb, mate! That's amazing news.
So the amazing James of McCaffrey has given me a lift as well, so I can have a beer with you.
Oh, beautiful. I think we're going to get. I think he also tweeted about this goal football place, and that's where we booked our parking. So yeah, that's where we're going to be. Oh, I'm looking forward to it even more now. Even more. Let's bring in John Spark. Another reason to get excited. You're seeing his face. Hi, John. You right?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. By the way, I've just got to say, I know your mug arrived safely, but did you see the little thing I put on your name on the outside packaging? Or did you not realise that?
No, there was something, I can't remember what it was. I think I saw it, and then
I put John Spark in brackets XG because you are
now I remember. Yes. Yes, that was it.
I wasn't sure if that was.
I remember seeing something written there, but it's passed me by because it was a week ago and I've forgotten. But yes, I do remember that.
Bonadar, good morning. Of course. Did you see the game on Tuesday night?
Of course.
Yes, and what did you think of it? Because the first sort of part of the game had echoes of Barnsley, but again, it was a goal that changed the fortunes for the Cherries.
Yeah, so I actually have a feeling the Bournemouth are probably going to start slow in a lot of games this season. And I think because there's a real comfort, I feel, with Bournemouth's defence more recently. Certainly Gary Cahill has added to that, but with Jordan Zamora being far better defensively than I think anyone expected him to be. Adam Smith and Jack Stacey are both capable on the right-hand side, and Lloyd Kelly, as much as I have issues with how slow he can be on the ball, is still a really good defender and has got the pace to make up for any kind of ball over the top. There's a great balance. There's a great support. And I think, particularly if you've got Lerner and Pearson, that you don't necessarily need them both. the defence feels very strong. Travers has had to do very little up until the second half of the QPR game. He didn't have a save to make against Barnsley. He didn't have a save to make against Hull. He only had to collect a couple of crosses. So with that strength in there, with the fact that really we actually would quite like our opposition to have the ball in their defensive third to push onto them, particularly when you've got, it doesn't work quite so much on the right, but particularly sort of in the middle and left. For the Anthony goal, you had Solanke initiating the press, and then you had Anthony coming in to obviously press Dickey, but Billing also helps out with that left-hand side press, and we'll get a lot more from that. It was a little bit frustrating. Stats before the QPR game, we hadn't actually made a goal from a high dispossession. So we'd actually we dispossessed oppositions in their third, but we'd not made a goal from it until the Anthony goal. So now that we've done that, we can certainly build on it. And once that happened, yeah, I mean, it was all Bournemouth for about 50 minutes and could easily have been 3-0 before QPR got a little bit lucky with their goal with that slight deflection. And then obviously backs to the wall, kind of natural at that point. You want to hold on so that you really want to be just holding on and making sure that you've got that game plan sorted. And you know, the substitutions were all quite, I want to say negative, I feel is that a bit harsh, but defensive to make sure that we saw it out. And it was close. But we saw it out, and that's the most important thing, getting the 3 points.
What did you think of the starting lineup, Simon, when you saw it?
My first reaction was I was actually shocked to see Christie playing as well. That was my initial reaction, but it tended to work out okay. It was only in the latter stages of the game where it didn't seem to work in the same way. I think there's something to be said for our tactical awareness at key points within matches, which I'm concerned about. We don't seem to adapt as quickly as I perhaps would like to see. But, you know, the lineup I was very happy with, but I was just curious as to how it would all work out, not from an attacking perspective, but more from a defensive perspective when we don't have the ball.
Yeah, agreed. So it was Christie that came in for Pearson, wasn't it, John? And then Lerma was then playing that sort of deeper role. Aaron, what did you think of that when you saw it? And, you know, sort of based on how it went, what do you think we should we be doing tomorrow?
I was a little bit surprised because I just thought, you know, keep the same team from Barnsley. However, again, against a better team, clearly in QPR, I thought he might want Pearson in there as well. But what was evident, he wants to get on the front foot. So obviously we know Lerma can play that role quite comfortably, and have obviously Christie and Billing supporting the other front three. So it was definitely a brave move. I think potentially along what John was saying, that, you know, the defence can be a bit more trusted now. So I think it was to get on the front foot. I think one of Kirk's great stats is that QPR scored their goals in the second half. We know they're the comeback kings. So it's try and get that lead before they make their changes and become stronger in the second half, potentially with the likes of Adoma coming on. So I think it was getting on the front foot. I think a lot of people thought Christie or Brooks, but obviously I think Christie's favourite position is inside. As for tomorrow, I certainly think Pearson will come back in away at Cardiff. I think we need to not be bullied. I think McCarthy will set them up to bully us. Obviously not the tallest, but as we know, that's going to be a problem, as you said before. I think Pearson will come in with Lerma again, allowing Jeff to go further forward. So it's not necessarily two deep line midfielders, but Pearson and Lerma together, and Billing, for me, obviously can't be dropped. So the big question for me tomorrow is it Brooks or Christie? I think he'll still start with Brooks. He obviously only played about 50 whatever minutes it was. And we know he might be more of a luxury player than Christie, but he's the one that can make things happen. And he has made things happen this season. Nothing against Christie, I thought was superb. But I just think if that's what we're going to start with tomorrow, then it wouldn't surprise me if Christie then comes on for Brooks if we need it.
Do you think this is ever something in the sort of mental sort of thinking of the manager, John? Like Jamal Lowe obviously played for Swansea, their nearest and dearest rivals, Cardiff. He'll be wanting to upset a lot of Bluebirds. Would that be a reason to include him, or not really?
I would be very surprised if that came in much into his thinking. I mean, it's if we were playing against Swansea, then maybe, because I think the narrative is more so a player coming to haunt their former club rather than their former rivals. Although, you know, you look at likes of Callum Wilson, who seems to absolutely love playing against West Ham, no matter which club he's at. It's not necessarily the case where it has to be against a former club, but No, I don't in particular. And with the form of Anthony and Zamora, I don't see any reason to change that left-hand side. I'm finding Brooks a little bit. I'm finding a few little issues with Brooks, but not more particularly necessarily only with him, but more so his link up with Smith. I think one of the great reasons that Zamora and Anthony are working so well is the amount of times they pass to each other.
Yeah.
And the positions that they get each other into. Although, funnily enough, it's actually more often Anthony that's supplying Zamora with great opportunities to cross into the box, or, as the case may be, shoot for his first goal against Barnsley. Whereas Brooks just seems to completely ignore Smith. And there is an element of, yes, you can use the underlapping run of a fullback to dummy it. But, like, I'm not sure what the relationship is between those two, particularly as Adam Smith is the kind of person that is sort of has a want to, if he doesn't receive the ball, throw his arms up in the air and throw his eyes skyward. Brooks's only strategy at the moment seems to be when he gets the ball, he wants to just go perpendicular to the pitch and just come inside immediately, which, to be fair, Anthony does as well. But I do think that Anthony's got a little bit more two-footedness about him. That cross towards the end of the first half for Solanke that he almost scored with, that was with his left foot, and that was an outstanding ball into the box. I can't see Brooks doing that with his right foot. No. He'd do it with the outside of his left foot, but I can't see him doing it with his right. And the fact that Brooks seems to be so one-footed and so keen to basically, if he can't come inside, he's going to go backwards. Yeah. He needs to be passing it on to Smith or Stacey, as the case may be, more often, because in the last, I think the entire season, perhaps, certainly in the last game, 50% of our attacks came down the left-hand side. You know, that's a real huge bias that most teams should really sort of account for. QPR tried to go man for man, so it didn't really work quite as well. But there's a lot of teams that will account for that a lot better. And if we're not using that right-hand side enough, it's going to become a hindrance to us. And I think there needs to be a better link-up. I'm hoping that with Christie possibly a bit more involved on that side, there might be a little bit better play. Jefferson Lerma against Barnsley was working really well with Smith and Brooks from their passing angles. But I think there needs to be a better link up between Brooks and whichever the right back is that supports him. First few games of the season, he was putting a bunch, what was it? The goal against Chelsea, that was because Brooks put the ball in for Smith to cross for Marcondes. Yeah. I'm pretty sure he probably did something like that similar against MK Dons at least a few times, but it's just stopped happening. And I think that's partly because he didn't have anyone making that run earlier in the season with Chris Mepham was behind it. So I don't know. I think there just needs to be more coming down that right-hand side.
I'd like to jump in there with a bit of an Adam Smith Appreciation Society perspective. I think Morgan said earlier that I probably might have favoured Stacey at the start of the season, but his last couple of performances have been great. And one of the things I really want to say is the fact that so much is coming down the left is also testament to Adam Smith's game intelligence, because he drops back. Now, when we had our best team from years ago, you had Frano bombing up one end and then Daniels would drop back. It was like that kind of thing going on. So Jay-Z obviously has license. He's not as intelligent defensively as Adam Smith is. So I think that's what's happening, because you watch some of those things. Smudger can get caught out from time to time, but sometimes that's not his fault. That's because we might lose possession and the balance of play. When we lose that, there's a lack of defensive cover in necessary positions, because you have that difficulty in the midfield if we're playing too many forward players. And then, obviously, as John says, he then works his tits off to get down the wing, and Brooks has to play him in a couple of times. And the fact he's working so hard when Jay-Z's going forward, no wonder he throws his hands up in the air a couple of times, because he's running around like an absolute nutter.
You're talking about working your tits off, and speaking of tits, Mr. Tiggs, if you sort of cross your eyes, you do look a bit naked, mate. But I tell you what, though, that's a very valid point. But I tell you what, speaking of this kind of, what about that early booking for Zamora, Alan? Alan, like Aaron, because was that not something that worried you? Because I honestly thought that they were just going to stick it on him the whole game, and it was very early in the game, wasn't it?
Well, the ref. Don't get me started on the referee. Honestly,
I can't believe I've not mentioned him so far. But you're right.
I was that close to jumping on the pitch. Honestly, it was painful, absolutely painful. No, what actually worried me more is I don't know if you noticed in the first minute they put up Kiefer Moore. What's his name? Dykes.
Yeah,
called over to the right hand side. our left-hand side onto Zamora. I'm like, if they're going to play those crossfield balls, we're going to lose these headers all day. But it didn't transpire like that. But yeah, and it wasn't a booking. But once he got that, I did fear. I suddenly thought, he's got to be careful. I mean, because he's raw, he's young, he can fly in, and they're going to target him, especially. So he did brilliantly not to make any rash tackles the rest of the night as well. And actually, Jaden Anthony dropped back quite a lot by his own admission to help out. I was a bit worried about that, but again, it's another feather in his cap.
Go on there. So we'll do some predictions before we switch it up. John, I'll come to you first. What are you thinking for tomorrow?
Yeah, so I think I'm on the lines of a lot of other people that think that Bournemouth aren't going to keep a clean sheet in this game. I think, when you look at our expected goals against, we're in the top half. We're one of the weakest teams in terms of expected goals from set pieces. We've got 2.9, which is the second most of the top half against us. And we've conceded 2 from set pieces already this season. But I think if the team has stopped giving away so many stupid fouls in awkward positions, then, we'll do a lot better from it. Corners are corners, you're defending. But, I mean, particularly look at Phil Billing towards the end of the match when he just barges into the back of Chris Willett for absolutely no reason. Those kind of stupid fouls that are just, what's the point? He's not going anywhere. Don't give them a chance to lump it into the box. If we stop doing that, then we've got a much better chance. Cardiff aren't terrible defensively, but they are massively underperforming their XG. So they do have some amount of weakness to playing in and around them, which we can obviously do. I'm probably going to lean towards 2-1, but I'm this close to saying 2-2. But I think it will be very difficult. I think an away game, it is going to be tough, and we haven't, we've dealt okay with West Brom, but that was early in the season. We dealt pretty well with QPR for the most part, but this is going to be tough. And it could well be sort of who's going to score more, who can outscore the other, rather than necessarily sort of a whole lot of game management. But should be an entertaining one for the neutral again. Here's hoping, but fingers crossed we get those 3 points.
Great stuff. Cheers, John. Thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Cheers. Thank you. Aaron, what are you going for?
Again, it's very difficult not to get carried away after the last 2 games. I mean, my expectation levels have shot up from playoffs to potentially automatic, even those 2 games, simply because not only the way we played and the squad we've got now available to us, but the fact that you've seen West Brom drop 4 points in the last 2 games. Fulham lost to Blackpool. They're not completely invincible. Having said that, I then think back to Blackpool and Hull, and we're not the finished article. And as John said, it's an away game and a vociferous crowd in Cardiff. It's not going to be easy. They will launch the Alamo at us without a doubt, and I definitely think we will concede. So my head is saying probably a draw, which wouldn't be a disastrous result after the week we've had by any stretch at all. But if we play like we have been in the last couple of games, we will create chances and hopefully we'll score them. So I'm also going to go for 2-1. Brilliant.
Aaron, thanks very much for coming on.
Safe journey up, guys.
Cheers. Thank you very much. And also AFCB dad, Simon Kay, what are you going for?
Head says 1-1, beer goggles says 3-1. I'll keep it as simple as that for you, Sam.
That's what I want. Love it. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
See you tomorrow.
Okay. See you tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing you, buddy. I suppose we better see what Scott Parker had to say in his presser, haven't we, eh? Well, I'll tell you what, Tom Crocker from the Bournemouth Echo, he put out a tweet which didn't tag Fulham. It didn't mention any of their players, but it was just a little quote that Scott Parker said about Dom Solanke. He said he feels grateful to have Dominic Solanke in his squad as the striker is gearing up for his 100th game as a Cherries player. But he's pretty much said he's one of the best strikers in the division. Cue lots of Fulham fans quoting the said tweet talking about Alexander Mitrovic. Honestly, they're searching Scott Parker. It's so weird. He's like the ex that they didn't want to let go of. Why are you quoting him so much? But obviously, you can check Tom Crocker's tweet there to see what that's all about. But Dom Solanke was not the only topic of conversation. But anyway, this is what Scott Parker said about Solanke. I think he's a top forward. Very pleased to have him and grateful he's in our team, really. I think he's a top forward in this division and he's got massive attributes. Scored goals last year and he's on the upward curve, really. I think he's a modern day centre forward, which is very good. Also, he went on to talk about the only 2 missing players for the trip to South Wales, and that is, as you can probably guess, injured duo Junior Stanislas with a hamstring injury and Lewis Cook with the knee injury. So that's what Scott Parker had to say about that. Right then, what we're going to do is quickly bring in Liam Humby, who's got a... There he is. You know what I love about you when you join in, mate? There's just an instant... he gives himself some fanfare. Love it. How are you doing, Liam?
All right.
Good.
What a game on Tuesday.
Oh, mate, it was squeaky bum time at the end. It was really nerve-wracking at the end, but we came good, didn't we? Who was your favourite player from that night, mate?
I thought Travers.
Yeah,
he made some critical saves.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and Lerma did well.
Yeah, Lerma did well. You know what? Exactly right. He played a bit more of an advanced role in the game previous, but then he just had to be a little bit deeper. Shows how versatile he is, and I can't remember him doing kind of lots, but that's usually a sign of a good Jeff Lerma game.
Yeah.
So, what's your prediction for tomorrow, mate?
I'm going 2-1.
2-1. Everyone's going 2-1, mate. Everyone. I'll see if
Cardiff will be difficult. Especially at their place.
Agreed. Let's see what James Reed's got to say. We got James Reed coming in as well. There he is. There's the man. How are you, James? You doing all right?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy the game against QPR?
Yeah.
Yeah, good man. All right. So Cardiff City are going to be a difficult side. Everyone's going for a 2-1. I need you to type to me and tell me what your prediction is. You've gone 2-1 as well. Love it. Who's going to score for us, James? That's what I want to know. Go on, type. Let us know who are Chris Mepham?
Yeah.
Do you reckon he's going to score? You know what? Not a bad shout. He scored against Watford last season when he came up late for a corner. If he starts tomorrow, fair play. All right, James. 2-1. We've got to shift it around, mate. We've got Tiggs and Steve waiting to come in. Tiggs and Steve, are you good for me to do a Cardiff piece first? Are you okay to wait? Yeah, you are. Right. Okay. Liam, thanks very much for coming in.
Well, have a good trip up there tomorrow.
Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it. And James Reed, you, my friend, are what's called a legend. Thanks very much for coming on. But the Cherries. He is a legend, isn't he? Right. Let's get some views from the opposition, eh? And we spoke to Tom Coleman. He works for Wales Online. He's their journalist that covers sport in South Wales. And got his views. It's about 10 minutes piece. By the way, during this piece, if you've got any chats, I'll put every single chat on screen. Every single chat, okay? But here's what he had to say about tomorrow's game. So with us, we've got Tom Coleman, who's sports writer at Wales Online with plenty of experience covering Cardiff City. Tom, how you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Good. Not too bad at all. And feeling pretty optimistic after our win in the week. But I'll ask how you feel on that shortly. But it was Mick McCarthy that took over the Bluebirds in January. And it's fair to say he started pretty well, although at the end of the season, it petered out. What was your experience of Mick last season for the Bluebirds?
I think on the whole, I mean, given how Cardiff were looking when he took over, I think, the playoffs were, people had kind of accepted that the playoffs were gone towards the end of the Neil Harris era. And obviously, McCarthy came in and they went on a terrific run. And suddenly, that sort of faint glimmer of a top six finish kind of started to spark into life a little bit again. And people were starting to murmur that, maybe Cardiff could be that one team who sort of slips in, because there's always one, isn't there? There's always one that always kind of slips through the back door, as you like. But wasn't to be. But I think all things considered, I think, most people accepted that Mick did a pretty good job towards the end of last season. I think he's earned the right to kind of build a team over the summer. I don't think anyone was remotely surprised to see his short-term contract extended to something a bit more permanent. Obviously, it hasn't been a great summer for anyone in the Championship, really. I mean, apart from your Bournemouths and your Fulhams and that, not a lot of money getting thrown around further down the Championship, and so money's been pretty tight for Cardiff. They have managed to bring in a few players, but it's been more outgoings and incomings, really. But I think the great thing with that is that McCarthy's had to kind of look inwardly a bit more, and on the back of that, we're seeing some really, really bright youngsters coming through, like Ruben Colwell, Mark Harris, and more recently Kieran Evans and Sam Bowen. I thought, as disappointing as Wednesday was, it was an all Welsh front three, which we also saw against Millwall, and it's been a long, long time since we've seen something like that. So for the capital city of Wales, their football club having such a strong Welsh presence has been hugely, hugely pleasing. But I think on the whole, McCarthy's got the support of most of the Bluebirds fan base. Obviously, some of the performances perhaps haven't been quite up to scratch. Wednesday being one of them. I mean, wasn't exactly the sort of confidence boost you need coming in to play in your lot, because Bournemouth are looking. If they're not going to be there or there, if they're not going to be promoted, they will be there or thereabouts, really. So, it'll be very, very interesting to see which Cardiff City turn up on Saturday.
Yeah, it seems to be sort of more of the same this season for Cardiff. You're currently sitting 9th in the table at the moment, and disappointing loss at Coventry, but it's not been all bad. And look, Bournemouth fans are looking at this thinking this is going to be quite a difficult fixture, not least because of the size of your side. They all seem to be absolute giants. Indeed, some people are labeling it land of the giants and all that kind of stuff. So is it fair to say that, set pieces is something that we should probably be looking at as a threat?
Yeah, I think that land of the giants quite actually came from Woodgate, didn't it? And I don't think it's any coincidence. I mean, I was looking at Scott Parker's press conference this week, and he was talking about how they're going to have to nullify Cardiff from the set piece, and I think it is probably fair to say that has been their main strength. I mean, it's no coincidence that Aidan Flint, a centre back, is currently the club's top scorer at the moment. And up until quite recently, every single one of their goals had been scored with headers. So, I mean, this is a team that is very, very good in the air, very, very physical. And, the likes of Aidan Flint, as I said, Sean Morrison, Kiefer Moore as well, who, was in fine form last season and is probably one of the better strikers in the division at the moment. I think it is fair to say that Cardiff do carry an aerial threat. I think that does cause problems for teams, especially teams who perhaps like to play, dare I say it, a prettier brand of football, which perhaps Bournemouth might fall into. So Bournemouth will certainly have to be prepared for a battle. There's absolutely no doubt about that. And I think if they want to have a decent blueprint on how to keep Cardiff at bay, they should simply look at what Coventry did the other night. I thought they nullified defensively. I thought, they took the likes of Kiefer Moore out of the game completely, really. And they had the athleticism and the pace and the tempo to hit them on the break, and Cardiff couldn't really cope with it. So, I think if Bournemouth go in with the right mentality and they go in up for a scrap, that's going to be the key to them. And I think that's when the better teams have fallen when they've come down here, is that, the football is, I guess, to many neutrals, a little bit ugly sometimes, a little bit direct, not particularly thrilling to watch, but it is effective. And, especially at home. So Bournemouth are going to have to be up for that. I mean, I seem to think, I can't quite remember the exact stats on it, but I don't think Bournemouth have got a particularly good record down here either.
No, I don't think we have. I can't remember the last time we won. I think it was in, the Championship. I think we got a couple of wins. once in the league, maybe once in the Carabao Cup. But apart from that, I'm scratching my head at it. I mean, last time it was a 1-1 with our ex-loanee Harry Wilson netting for you guys. But yeah, and also we played you in a pre-season friendly at Dean Court as well, which didn't go so well for us. But yeah, I mean, it is going to be a challenging fixture for us. But I mean, when Cardiff City see Bournemouth at home on the fixture calendar, what's your immediate thoughts? I mean, what's the expectations for most Bluebirds fans? I mean, are you hoping for a win? Is it something you'd be fairly satisfied to sort of come away with a draw, or what?
I think listen, apart from the three that have come down, Bournemouth are, well, before the start of the season, was seen as the favourites to go up, really. So I think if you offered many Bluebirds fans a point tomorrow, many of them would probably take it. But the thing about Cardiff City, and this has been probably true since the Neil Warnock era, really, they quite like the tag of underdogs, and actually they do tend to sort of relish the idea of kind of proving people wrong and sticking one in the eye of teams who, let's be blunt about it, teams who are footballing wise are probably better teams. So they do kind of relish the idea of taking those teams on and going toe to toe with them and sort of dragging them into a scrap. And it has been effective at times. It has been effective, and I'm not sure fans will be confident on Saturday because everyone's aware of how good Bournemouth can be, and obviously coming into this game unbeaten. I think they're only one of two teams still unbeaten in the Championship. So, right, I don't think anyone is under any illusions that it's going to be a very, very tough game. But I get, if the crowd gets behind them, if they get off to a decent start, if they give the crowd something to cling on to in those opening 15, 20 minutes, there might just start to be a little bit of confidence that perhaps they can nick something, particularly from, dare I say it, a set play or something like that. But it's a tricky one, really, to figure out the expectations, I think, because I think the issue for me with Cardiff City has always been, in my opinion, that first 11 is good enough to challenge for top six, and I think that first 11 is good enough to give any team in the Championship a problem. The worry for me is that the depth of the squad isn't quite strong enough, and as good as it is to see so many youngsters coming in, I do wonder if, in an ideal world, Mick would rather have a bit more experience in there. And I think the big miss at the moment for them is Ryan Giles. You mentioned Harry Wilson earlier. I mean, he was a massive player for Cardiff last season. Lee Tomlin's been a big one as well, but obviously, his perpetual injury worries have kind of seen him fall off the radar, really, for a lot of City fans. So Ryan Giles has kind of stepped into the mould of giving that creative spark, and from what we've seen of him, he looks more than capable of matching that. But obviously, he's been out for. He was out on Wednesday and on Sunday against Nottingham Forest, but he does seem to be that creative spark. He's not going to make it either this weekend because he's contracted COVID, unfortunately. But that lack of creative spark was kind of there for all to see on Wednesday, really. They didn't really have. They were kind of lacking quite a bit of intensity in midfield. I think Mick himself said that they kind of got overrun a little bit in midfield, and they haven't quite got a playmaker at the moment who can maybe put their foot on the ball and change a game. And I think that's the big weakness for them at the moment. So, yeah, I mean, it's difficult in terms of expectations. I think many City fans are probably, well, the more realistic ones or pessimistic, whichever way you want to look at it, are probably thinking that Cardiff will probably be around where they finished last season. And I think that's probably right from my point of view, to be honest.
I was going to ask you a number, sort of a player to watch, but you've been through a number, to be fair. Aidan Flint, an absolute handful when he comes up. Also, of course, Kiefer Moore, Ruben Colwell. So what we'll do, we'll just cut to the chase. Prediction, just go for it. Well, I mean, what are you expecting from tomorrow? It's going to be quite an interesting game for us, to be fair, because, the last couple of teams we've played, they've dominated us for the first sort of 10 minutes or so, and then we've slowly got into it. We found the gaps, and then we've dominated them. But sometimes, like in the QPR match, we let them in, and it was squeaky bum time for the last 15, 20 minutes. So I'm sure that Cardiff will be looking to start fast. One thing that we haven't done is conceded, and we haven't been behind so far this season, so we haven't conceded first. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it pans out. But prediction wise, how are you thinking this one's going to go, Tom? It's an hard one.
I mean, it's a very tricky one to be. I agree. I think it's going to be a fascinating game because I think if Bournemouth want to get promoted, this is the sort of quintessential championship game where you've got to turn it on, isn't it? And this is the sort of game that you've got to kind of overcome if you really want to be, because there's Cardiff City. There's quite a few Cardiff Cities out there in this division, isn't there? And you've got to be willing to knuckle down and grind out results. It's not. I guess that's the big difference between this and the Premiership. Although I mean, the Premier League is still a hard slog. Don't get me wrong. I mean, in terms of the game, I still fancy Cardiff to unsettle Bournemouth a little bit. Yeah. So I could see them perhaps snatching a goal. So, I mean, on paper, I think Bournemouth you'd probably go 2-0 Bournemouth, but I think there's a part of me that thinks that Cardiff might just snatch a goal. So I'm going to be optimistic and go 1-1.
Interesting. Okay, good stuff. Well, we're going to have some predictions later on in the show from some of our fans. I think most of ours will probably go optimistic for Bournemouth, but I think that's a fair shout. It should be an interesting match. So, Tom, whereabouts can people read and see your work?
So I'm on Wales Online, walesonline.co.uk, and I can be on Twitter. Well, I am on Twitter. Sorry, and my handle is Tom E. Coleman.
Brilliant stuff. All right. Well, thanks very much, and best wishes for tomorrow.
Lovely stuff, Sam. Cheers.
Brilliant there. So that was Tom Coleman, and do check him out. His work is on Wales Online. So right, we're blessed by the company of Jeff, Tiggs, and Steve, who are going to join us very shortly for our chosen 11, and just to chew the fat a bit for the remaining 8 minutes of the show. If you go into the game tomorrow and you're wondering where on earth to park, Gold Cardiff have got in touch with us directly and said they're happy to host Bournemouth fans against the Bluebirds on Saturday. £6 to park, which comes with a £5 bar voucher in return. The Cherries fans broke their matchday bar record last time. The kids can play on their pitches for free. That's where we're probably going to be as well. There's also a Harvester that you can go to, or lots of people are going to the Great Western, which is the Wetherspoons near Cardiff train station. It is about a 25-30 minute walk in from Cardiff sort of city centre. I did that last time. Went to the Prince of Wales and a few pubs around that area, but it is a bit of a mission. So if you want to go near to the stadium, that is where you need to go. Cardiff City versus AFC Bournemouth. It's tomorrow. But what of the teams? Let's work it out, shall we? And we're joined by a beautiful bunch of people. We've got Mr. Tiggs there. We've got Jeff Hayward, and looking amazing in purple, we've got Steve Hensman. You right, guys?
Which colour do you want? I can do that colour, this colour.
Oh my God. Can you bring that in the car tomorrow, mate? This is amazing.
Wow, it'd be a bit difficult to strap my house to the car.
All right, fair enough. Jeff, you all right?
Yeah, very good. Is your house a disco, Steve?
No, but we did just have a hot tub out here, and I found this disco light that we can have a bit of a flashing effect. We can go all sorts in here.
Oh my God. I absolutely love it. It's been great. Jeff, obviously, that's the first time you've been up to the bar this season, and what was it like actually meeting a load of faces that they've just have just been thumbnails or virtual faces for the past 18 months?
I'd like to say getting in touch with Tom Jordan's fan club is something that I'd love to do every week, but
he's got such a fan club.
I mean, why is it he always gets the selfie requests and not me or you, Sam?
Never get a selfie request. I'm too old, mate. I'm too old for that kind of stuff. And to be fair, by the time I've actually worked out how to take a selfie, they're just not interested anymore. But yeah, it's but it is nice to meet these people, Jeff, isn't it? That we've only just known virtually. It's bizarre.
Yeah, it was great. Really enjoyed it, and only just got my voice back today, hence I'm on the show. But a fantastic night. Really enjoyed it.
And Tiggs, it's quite funny because sometimes you wonder whether these kind of friendships, relationships will sort of transition into real life, and they have.
Yeah, we all love each other now, don't we? Physically and spiritually and all the ways.
I love it there, I love the fact that you got really close to your mic then to sound all sensual. Oh my god!
If you're at home, you want to run a bath now.
Oh, where am I? What's going on?
Deep bath. Oh my god! Right. Okay. Should we get into choosing the chosen 11 then before this goes out of control? It's before 9:00, boys. It's right. Should we go around and pick some players? And look, what we'll do is we'll also get some people in chat. We'll try to do this within the next 5-10 minutes to wrap it up as quickly as possible. So what I want you to do is, okay, player one. Should we just skip player one and just assume it's Travers, right? I think we better, because that's what it's going to be.
It's a given.
Yeah. All right. In chat then. Right. So we're going to start with the right backs. That's player 5. So put the number 5 and then your choice of who you want it to be. In the meantime, Tiggs, I'm going to come to you first. Player 5. Is this one easy for you?
Yeah, it is for me against a bit of it might be a bit of a tasty game. I would rather have Smithy on the right for me in that game, and we know he's fit.
Yes, we do. And look, Morgan, Sean, Cameron, Fat Richie, I love that nickname, Smudge, Mark Cole, all saying the same. All right, okay, so it's Smith there. In the meantime, player number 3, let us know in chat. And Steve Hensman, I'm coming to you for player 3. And this one is, didn't used to be that easy, but maybe after the last couple of games, it is getting easier to select. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Gary Cahill's nailed it down straight away. The only thing that you may say that he might be needed to be managed during, because of his age, not playing every game. But for me, from what I've seen so far, he definitely brings what we've needed in that back four. A lot of leadership qualities, a lot of experience. And I haven't seen him. Well, he had that little moment, didn't he? Just at the dying embers of the game on Tuesday night. But apart from that, I think he's looked every bit the Premier League player that he, has been for so many years.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Completely agree with that. Thanks to Paul Horry for the super chat, by the way. Sorry for covering your face anytime I put anything on screen, Jeff. I don't mean to do that because you have got. You know what? If I can,
that's the thanks he gets.
You know what, Jeff? I'm going to put you up here. I'll have my face covered. All right. There you go. Prime position. So, player number 2 then. Go on.
Well, I do like Super Scotty Parker. I think he knows exactly what we need. It's Kelly at the back.
Yeah. So, and you know what, mate? I love the fact that on the vlog you're there in your voice is excellent, actually. Your singing voice, superb. I love the fact that you said Dido. Oh, hello, Tiggs. Going for Cook?
Yeah, just thought I'd be a bit controversial.
Yeah.
Just because they're really, really tall. And I think I don't think Steve Cook's going to get a look in really, but if he
Kelly's
was
taller than Cook, isn't he? Didn't you? Have
no,
that
I think Cook.
chart?
I think Cook's taller. According to some dodgy website, I just looked it up on, but I'm not 100%.
Right,
then, we need a height expert here, Sam.
Yeah, no, I think we do. Is there any point in doing player number 4? I don't think there is. I think it's going to be Jordan Zamora. So look, we're going to pick Zamora for that position. There's not even in any debate. Steve, then I'll give you and give everyone on the chat player number 6, that deep lying midfielder. I mean, I presume we would be playing the same formation, right, Steve?
I would like to think so. It served him well so far, hasn't it? This is a difficult one. This is, I'm erring on the side of Pearson for that role at the moment, and we go on to the other players, but I've reasons for that. I just think we need someone to be solid in there and just be disciplined, especially away from home with a big team like Cardiff. I think Pearson's your man in there.
Yeah, there seems to be a consensus for Lerma, but I think you're probably right. I would err on the side of Pearson as well. Oh, it's difficult, isn't it? But yeah, let's go for Pearson. Let's put him there. In which case, Tiggs, I think, is it coming back to you or is it Jeff now? I can't even remember.
Oh, I don't mind. It could be. Which one would you like me to pick? 7 or 8?
Well, I'd say, yeah, go on. You do 7, and Jeff, you do 8. And everyone in chat do 7 and 8, and I'm just going to fill in Pearson at 6. Go on then, Tiggs.
Well, I think 7 for me is a definite a billing.
Yeah.
On that left-hand side, you've got lovely link-up players, and it with Zamora and potentially Anthony. We will get to that later. But also, he's really tall, and he has been trying more so to be a bit more of a force in terms of heading and defending. Don't know if you noticed that, Steve.
He's still failing miserably, but yeah,
I know, but he is trying. He's getting back.
Trying.
He gets back, and he's becoming part of that defensive unit.
Bless his cottons.
Yeah, so I think we need him on the pitch. Our players are like 6'6", 6'5", 6'4", and he's the only player we've got. I think that's over. I think we got him and Cahill who are 6'4". But apart from that, we're looking a bit light.
Yeah. All right, and then Jeff, player 8.
Well, if I'm following Tiggs's advice, I might put Mepham at 8, but no, I'm going for Lerma.
Okay. Lerma, and a lot of people on chat are feeling the same. Now, the wide players is going to be quite an interesting one. Will he be switching it up? Will he be putting Brooks in? Will players like Lowe get a run out, or will it be Christie? Steve, what are your thoughts about what he should be doing?
Yeah, which one you having? Which one am I getting? Player 10 or 9?
Who would you like? I'll let you pick.
Well, I'll have player 10 because I think player 9's pretty. If you've got Jay-Z, you know he's going to be there. So I think player 10 is up for grabs, really. But I think Brooks being taken off the other night after 60 minutes, I think he'll start again. But we've got options there. We've got, obviously, Christie can play there. I think Lowe can pretty much play wherever he wants across the front three. So he needs to start, putting in these performances. And I think he played well on Tuesday night. So I think he keeps his place. But he's got to be on his toes, Mr. Brooks, because I think he's got people breathing down his neck.
Yeah, and Brooks always plays well in Wales anyway, doesn't he? So he plays better than he does for Bournemouth, quite often. So why not? Let's put him
in. Fan.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's what we'll do then. And then Jeff on that left side.
Well, it's got to be Jadon Anthony, superstar.
What did you make of his performance on Tuesday night, Jeff?
I like Jadon Anthony. I've got a long running discussion with a son of mine to say that he's better than Danjuma, and that goal that he scored was as good as Danjuma. The pass that he made, better than Danjuma. So I'm liking Jadon. I think he's great.
Certainly got confidence to match Danjuma, hasn't he? Taking on that shot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
could have easily squared it and made it easy for Dom, but he didn't. He took the onus on himself, so fair play to him.
And he's shown that he can
more assists than Arnie gave us last year.
Well, I was about to say, for that, Dom Solanke goal, it was a very good pass actually. He just slotted. It was a short pass, but he just slotted it between two players and made it easy for Dom. He took it in his stride, and then I suppose Tiggs, player 11, sure, even it's going to be Dom, isn't it? Who worked his socks off again on Tuesday night, didn't he?
He did. I think the September transfer window came just as
keep up.
I know, came at the right time. I really do think that it's going to affect the players on the pitch's performance when there's other players, as Steve said earlier, breathing down their neck. Anthony's a classic example of that. I remember when when the transfer window closed and we tried to pick a team, he was the one we were like, oh, well, he might be the one that is sacrificed now for a new player. But no way now after the last two performances he's put in. So, Dom, definitely. We've got to wrap him in cotton wool, though. So I'm really hoping that we can get an early lead and Lowe can get on the pitch and we can see what he can do in that position.
Be really interesting. So, 9 out of the 11 players who started for Cardiff against Coventry City are 6 foot or more. The other 2 are relative shorties at 5'11". So, tell you what, there's a lot to be concerned about in terms of set pieces. So, no silly fouls. You got Aidan Flint who comes up from the back, 6'5". Kiefer Moore, 6 foot. Sean Morrison, all big players, and going to be a different kind of test for us tomorrow. Let's do some predictions before we sign off. Then, Jeff, what are you going for?
1-1 tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I don't want that to be the case.
No.
But yeah, you could be right. I mean, yeah. All right, Tiggs.
3-2. Lerma gets sent off.
3-2 to
us. Sorry, 2-3.
2-3. All right, and Steve, what are you going for?
So, funnily enough, I'm going to kind of echo what Jeff said there. I was picking a 1-1. I'd be happy to get out of there with a draw and keep our unbeaten run going. Like that Tom has said, they are the quintessential championship team. And I know we've beaten what we've come up against so far, but I don't know. I'll be happy with a draw tomorrow.
Brilliant. All right, Tiggs.
I would love to invoke the ghost of Harry Arter and have somebody bang it in from 30 yards top corner. Wouldn't that be nice?
Absolutely.
Yeah, smash the granny out of it.
Smash the granny out of it,
please.
That's the new saying.
Yeah. I'm saying it to everyone.
yeah. It's just about football, right?
Is that what it means?
Jeff,
they go down so well at the old people's home, to be fair.
Yeah.
Still before 9 o'clock, right, lads?
Jeff, thanks very much for coming on. Enjoy your evening.
Good to see you guys.
You too. Take care. Tiggs, see you later, my friend.
Up the Cherries.
Up the Cherries. Steve, see you in the morning.
Yes, mate. Looking forward to it. I think Rob said it. It's like I'm like a kid before Christmas at the moment with the way we've been playing. But loving it. Looking forward to it tomorrow.
See you in less than 12 hours. Make sure you get some good sleep, eh?
Oh, God.
Can't wait to see your visage. All right, then, mate. See you tomorrow morning.
Take care, mate. Bye.
The Cherries. And safe journey to anyone that is travelling up to the Cardiff City Stadium. As I mentioned earlier, there is parking available. Check out one of our tweets recently that we retweeted from Goal Football in Cardiff. Thanks very much for everyone who is supporting the pod, and those are the ways you can do it. You can be a star all the way through to a legend. The Ko-fi monthly donations are really appreciated, and it guarantees that we can keep things going because, we've got a lot of expenses, and you know what? It certainly helps us a lot. Also, the back of their net mugs, they've sold out, so when they're next in, we'll let you know. You can do a one-off donations, that's absolutely fine, and YouTube super chats, as Paul Horry did. Absolutely superb. Thank you very much for your support. So I'm going for a 3-1 Cherries. There you go. You heard it here first. We've got a free-for-all after the game outside the stadium if you want to come along and join us. But if not, you know what to do. You can send it via Telegram, Facebook Messenger, and also email to fans@afcbpodcast.com. Film it in landscape, right? See you later. Have the Cherries.